Coming up next here on the Commissioner's Report, we'll take a look at the very serious issue of pedestrian safety and what's being done here in Polk County. Also, we'll take a look at the relationship between the county and our cities, specifically Frostproof. It's all coming up on this edition of the Commissioner's Report. Welcome to another edition of the Commissioner's Report. I'm Mike Moore. It's great to have Commissioner George Lindsey here, the chairman, as we begin a new year. And Commissioner, I have to say, this is the third year for the Commissioner's Report, obviously my first year, so I'm looking forward to this. But and now you're here as the chairman, so that means, I imagine that means you're a little busier than...
A little busier. I was honored to be appointed chair by my colleagues. And there's some ceremonial task responsibility for that, but also the chairman is the one that, on behalf of the Board of County Commissioners, signs all the contracts, signs the plats, a lot of administrative things, and it's the liaison between the board and the senior administration, the county manager's office, and the county attorney's office. So it does have additional challenges and additional obligations, but I appreciate the honor and look forward to it.
Well, if he's the chairman, we're going to start the 2015 show with the chairman here. In just a little bit, we're going to be joined by Commissioner Melony Bell. We're going to be talking about the county-city relationships, and we're going to specifically look at the city of Frostproof. They're known as the Friendly Town. We're going to learn more about that and how that relationship is working. But with Commissioner Lindsey, we're going to talk about a different issue, totally different, pedestrian safety. And Commissioner, I was just looking at some numbers here, and statewide, the state of Florida is #1, and this is not a good #1 in terms of fatalities for pedestrians. And if you even look at the county-wide, Polk County is in the top 10 in accidents and fatalities for pedestrians. And again, I know that's a number you want to see going way down. And so this is a serious problem, an ongoing issue about pedestrian safety. Many of this could be kids, because kids don't pay attention as much as adults do, but clearly there's an issue here with pedestrians, isn't there?
The state DOT has taken a peculiar special interest in pedestrian safety, and our local DOT office here, District 1, has also taken a lead in trying to identify what are the sources and what's so peculiar about our urban lifestyle that contributes to this. So it's an issue that we need to focus on, and between DOT and our local efforts, we're going to try to do that. One thing I've learned in my 2 years on the commission, now starting my third year, is that needs will always exceed revenues. We have limited resources and we have huge responsibility to try to allocate those resources. And so it's important that in the sidewalk issue as a pedestrian safety measure, that we get the best bang for the buck. We put our resources where it can get the most results. It occurred to me that we have a good system now, but it doesn't embrace as much community input as I think ought to be. Currently, we've got 11 county staff on a sidewalk committee, 3 representatives from the school board, because that's a vital link to the process. And depending on proximity of a project to the municipality, we may have municipal representation on there. It occurred to me that we may be over heavy on the county staff side, and there may be opportunity to include some citizen participation. So I recommended to my colleagues that we take 5 of those 11 and make citizen appointments, where each commissioner would appoint 1 citizen to serve on this advisory committee. And my colleagues went along with that. We've instructed the county attorney's office to do the necessary paperwork and resolutions and policies associated with that. And I'm looking forward to making those first appointments. The current system has a grading process. And nominees for sidewalk sections come from constituents who may call county staff, maybe contact the commissioner to put it on the list. The school board may have projects on the list. So a variety of ways that project sections get on the list. We can't do them all.
Right.
So we have to figure out which of these nominated sections of sidewalk are the most cost effective, the most utilized, and produce the greatest benefit for the limited resources. Currently, the county staff and the ones I mentioned earlier, they go through a point system that includes accident history. That gets more points than one that wouldn't.
Right.
Does it connect the existing sidewalks so that we have a closed system? What is the potential use for pedestrian access on a daily basis? Is it an elementary school or a high school? Elementary school gets more points than a high school. Key element is, do we have ownership of the existing right-of-way? I don't want to spend the dollars buying rights-of-way as opposed to spending dollars to putting concrete in place that kids can walk on. What are the wetland impacts? All of these things are graded.
Right.
And then those projects that get the highest grades are the ones that are funded. Now, the county has been allocating about $1.4 million a year for the last few years, and I would expect about the same level for the foreseeable future. That's not going to produce a lot of sidewalks.
That may sound like a lot of money, but when you consider how much per foot
yes.
to build a sidewalk, that's not a lot of money, really, is it?
Now, in our conversation with the school board recently, they've agreed from the impact fee monies to use $250,000 a year to add to that fund as a supplement. So that takes it up to, $165. So by having citizen input, meeting with the staff, going through the criteria, visiting the sites, physically driving to the site and seeing what the field conditions are, will help get more community buy-in to the final product.
One of the things that you had mentioned earlier to me was there was really 3 benefits, and you've kind of been alluding to them as well. But the first one was that transparency. I think, where, like you said, citizens seeing what needs to be done, and also trusting that this is being done fairly and equitably, and not just a commission's district. They have a chance to be involved with the process. That's always got to be important.
Citizen input is paramount to have confidence in local government. And while we are critical of state and federal, state's 250 miles away and federal is 1,000 miles away, it's hard to have an influence and buy into that system. But the cities and the counties, our city commissioners, partners, and our school board partners, and our county commission board members, we run into folks into the Publix and the gas stations and the church and our Rotary and Kiwanis, and that's a direct connection, and that's where the rubber meets the road, and that transparency is important.
One of the other things you also talked about was city involvement. Obviously, the county and the city. We're going to talk about that a little bit later with Commissioner Bell on a different area, but still, we have to work together.
We do. We don't paint a line on the road that says this side's the city and that side's the county, and the lines are not always crisp and clean and whatnot. So, we talk about the Lakeland urban area, far beyond the city limits, and Winter Haven and all the rest of them. It is a partnership, and in these times when the cities are struggling with revenues, the county's struggling with revenues, if we can have more joint cooperation and participation, we represent the same people.
Right.
So if we can produce the same product, whether it's a sidewalk or a road or a water supply, it's incumbent on our elected officials to act in harmony because we do represent the same people.
Right. And one of the third benefit, as you were saying, was just dealing with procedure. Sometimes emotions can cause people to want to have something done immediately that may not be cost effective. We see this all the time all over our nation, but in terms of more fact-related, and having citizens involved, I think that really helps them understand that, doesn't it?
It does. It creates a buy-in to a grading system. And once you have faith and confidence in the grading system, then you'll have faith and confidence in the results that it produces. So that there is certainly an emotional element involved, particularly as a result of some of the statistics we've seen about accidents, and some are avoidable, some are not. That's why we call them accidents. And every one of them is a tragedy, but it's a reality that we cannot have zero fatalities. That's not an achievable goal.
You know, when you look at, I was just looking at some of the causes as they were saying for accidents. A lot of them are involving young kids, and oftentimes whether it's early in the morning or early in the evening when it's hard to see, and they're not walking facing traffic, they're walking with traffic and maybe wearing dark clothes. So sometimes education is what's involved, but when you're dealing with kids, you can do all the education, you can have all the sidewalks in the world and crosswalks and everything.
Yes.
Like you said, you're still never going to get their kids.
Yeah, they are. But it's still incumbent on us as elected officials, as the adults in this formula, to set the standard, to set the guidelines, and give them the tools to make informed decisions. If they choose not to use the tools, then that's not much we can do about that.
Right.
But at least we give them the tools. And I think through PGTV, through all the other resources, Parks and Rec that county touches, that we can disseminate the safe conditions that someone should strive for, young and old.
You know, well, being in the top 10 normally sounds like something we would want to be, but we would love to be in the bottom 10.
That's right.
In terms of, I guess, 67 counties in the state of Florida. And it's amazing when you look at some of the counties like Broward County or Pinellas and Hillsborough, we might expect that. But I think sometimes it might surprise us a little bit in terms of Polk County. We wouldn't think that, you know, especially because we have so much open area in the southern part. But, and again, when I look at the number of people, the number of deaths, 72, this is from 2008 to 2012, 72 deaths countywide. That's a lot of people.
That's a lot of folks. And there were 667 incidents that didn't result in fatalities, that somebody got hurt, a broken arm or leg or whatever, or just a scrape. But it's still unfortunate that we had those. But it's not something that we're going to eliminate. Our best effort is to mitigate.
Right. Well, Commissioner, you were talking about getting the citizens, the residents involved, and again, it's not going to change the number of accidents or even the amount of money available, but it does really help the people get involved to understand the issue. And you know what? That's always been the case. That's why we televise the board meetings, so people can understand the debate and discussion of what's going on any topic and issue. So transparency, I think that's something, like you said, that's certainly top of the list, and that'll be interesting to see how this all kind of plays out in the next few months.
Looking forward to those who are watching that would have an interest in serving on these committees. Call the County Commission office, leave name and address and contact information, 534-6000 with the County Commission office. And as we begin our process of making those appointments, we'll look forward to it.
And we can always let you know a number of ways here on Polk County Television, the commission meetings, some of the programs we have, including this show, keeping you updated on the issues we've been talking about with our commissioners. Commissioner Lindsey, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Chairman Lindsey, I'll get it right.
Thank you, Mike.
I appreciate it. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, Commissioner Melony Bell will be here, and we're going to talk about the county-city relationships, and we're going to take you on a little road trip. We're going to take you down to Frostproof, so stay with us.
Underneath everything we are all people. And when we reach out a hand to one, we can influence the condition of all. That's what it means to live united.
And welcome back to the Commissioner's Report. With me now is Commissioner Melony Bell. It's great to have you here on the program.
Great to be here.
And also, we have a third person here with us. We have Tenny Croley. She is the city manager from the city of Frostproof.
Correct.
And it's great to have you here as well.
Glad to be here with you.
And speaking of Frostproof, that's really why we're here, Commissioner. And this is all part of District 2, which is really the southern part of Polk County. And a number of some of these kind of quaint, smaller towns are in your district, like Frostproof. It's kind of interesting to learn about them today.
Mm-hmm. Frostproof is just a very intricate part of Polk County. You know, I think they're like the second oldest city here in the county. Is
That's
that
my
correct?
understanding.
The second, next to Fort Meade. But I just thought it'd be very important to start with, going to do a day in the light of each city that's in my district, and I represent 5 cities, Frostproof being one. And so we're starting out with Frostproof, since they are the second oldest here in the county. But we do a lot of partnerships with their city and thought it would be very important for the citizens here in Polk County to know who Frostproof is and to know what type of collaboration that we have between city and county.
What's kind of interesting is Frostproof, it's not like 2 days away, but there are a lot of people that live in the northern part that perhaps they've never been down there, or it's been a long time. So we're kind of hoping maybe you'll get a chance by learning about Frostproof today, and you may want to take a trip down there and visit the beauty. I recently had a chance to visit the beautiful city of Frostproof, and I had a chance also to meet their mayor, Ann Dickenson. Now, she's been a lifelong resident, and she really is a living historian for the city. One of the things she told me was a lot through the years has changed, but some things that haven't changed are the city's easy living and charm. Frostproof is located in the southeastern part of Polk County, nestled between two bodies of water, Lake Reedy to the east, Lake Clinch to the west. I caught up with Mayor Dickinson at the Frostproof Historical Museum, a fitting place for someone who knows this community so well.
I was born and raised here and have lived here all but about 10 years.
Ann Wardlaw graduated from Frostproof High School, class of '49. After attending Florida State and living in Orlando, Ann and her husband, John Dickinson, returned in 1958. Now Ann is the mayor of Frostproof, though she's quick to point out it's more of a ceremonial position.
I'd make the speeches, do the greetings and that sort of thing, but I don't actually run the city. I like my setup here. I don't want to have to be running out in the middle of the night when the water line breaks. That's our city manager's job. We were an agricultural city. If you lived in Frostproof, you worked in agriculture in some form or the other.
One of the leaders in the citrus industry and community is Frostproof's best-known resident, Ben Hill Griffin Jr.
He did a lot for Frostproof when he was alive.
His influence and name are seen all over the city, including that stadium in Gainesville.
We may be small, but you know, we've got several millionaires in our little town of less than 3,000 people. That's not bad.
Through the years, some businesses have left, but now more retailers are coming back, including the famous Golden Arches. But if you want something other than burgers, try Miss Charlene's Tea Room, the newest business in Frostproof.
They were not from Frostproof, but they chose to open their business here because of the community.
And for a feel of old Frostproof, you have to check out the Raymond Theater, built nearly a century ago.
But now it's been completely renovated and brought back to life, and a lot of events are held in that theater.
City Hall now resides in the old high school, but the football stadium, home of the Bulldogs and 3 state championship teams, remains where it's always been for more than 90 years. And how about the name Frostproof? When was the last time a frost hit this city?
Oh, probably last year.
So the name really isn't accurate.
But at the time, it was.
Back in the 1890s, 2 freezes hit the citrus industry hard.
Citrus all over the state of Florida froze, but in this area, it didn't freeze.
At the time, some residents preferred the name Lakemont, but in the end, good old-fashioned marketing won out.
That also helped bring other people here in this area that wanted to set out citrus groves.
While the name Frostproof may be good marketing, the city motto defines their character.
That's right. We're known as a friendly city, and I think it lives up to its name. People will always speak to you, whether they know you or not. We're proud of our little area. And we may not be the biggest, but we're the friendliest.
You know, one of the things that's kind of interesting is she very quickly alluded in her job as the mayor is not the one that does all the work. Tenny, that's more your job, so in the middle of the night you have to go out there for that water main. It's kind of interesting, the city arrangement. The mayor is not really the one that runs the city. Why don't you explain that real quickly?
Well, we have a council manager form of government. We have 5 commissioners that are elected at large by the citizens of Frostproof, and once the election's over, among those 5, they hold a vote and elect a mayor and a vice mayor, and that's done annually after each election. The commissioners hold 3-year terms. There's two, and one. So it's kind of a staggered situation so that we don't have 3 seats open at the same year, other than this year. One of our commissioners quit. So we have a 3-man election this year. 3 seats will be open, 1 for 1 year and 2 for 3 years.
You know, anytime, any city of any size always has challenges, but when you're smaller, you really do need to depend on the county and then the state and all sorts of assistance. And I know you're probably working together with Polk County is very important, because sometimes when you're kind of down, tucked away in the corner, people may have, like you said, they kind of forget about Frostproof. They don't maybe go down there very often. But the relationship between the county and the cities, like Frostproof, is very critical, isn't it?
Absolutely, Mike. When I was City Commissioner Mayor of Fort Meade, I saw the importance of having partnerships with the county. I served as a city commissioner for 14 years, and during that time, being a small city, they're very limited on funds of what they can do with lobbying. For one issue that I could bring up, Frostproof was in need of a water plant.
Right, water project.
And they, I believe, had gone to the state 2 years in a row
Correct.
And it was a grant type thing. And you know, being a small city, they don't have the funds to hire their own lobbyists. Where the county, you know, we do. So last year, my colleagues took a vote and decided if you're in a city 10,000 people or less, that we would use our lobbying staff to help these small cities. And so there was the first project that came on board, and so our lobbyists got with Tenny and her staff, and it went from there. And they worked, I think, until the 12th hour. We found out that they received that money for their water project.
So evidently that partnership right there was very critical, wasn't it?
It was very critical to a city of our size. We have the same mandates as the larger cities, but not the resources to carry out those mandates. And of course, our water system is like most of the older cities. It's the infrastructure's old, needs to be replaced, and you know that is very, very costly. We have been fortunate enough to have some reserves, and we're very proud of that. However, you know, it doesn't take but one serious emergency for those reserves to be depleted.
Right.
So we're very, very grateful for the partnership we have with Commissioner Bell and the other commissioners. It's been very good for Frostproof. We have several interlocal agreements with Polk County, which benefit us greatly.
You know, I don't know if this is one you're referring to or not, but I guess about 7 years ago, you decided to partner with the Sheriff's Department.
Yes.
And you know, we see that a lot throughout the Polk County. There aren't very many cities anymore that are not. They're going it alone, I guess. What I'm saying. And obviously, a city Frostproof size, it would only make sense for them to partner with it. And you were also talking about the 911 dispatch. That's all part of that partnership too, isn't it?
Yes, we do have an interlocal agreement with the sheriff that all of our 911 dispatch calls, we contract with them to handle those calls for us. And we are very fortunate that we chose to go with the Sheriff's Office for our law enforcement services. That saved the city probably $1.5 million over a 5-year period, which was very crucial for us at that point in time. It's economies of scale.
Right, right.
And another partnership, as you've seen on the video a few minutes ago, Frostproof is a very close-knit community that loves one another, and their arts is very important to them also, not only to their city, but to the county and the state. And the tourism that they're bringing into their Raymond Theater has just been over the top that we have seen. And so we've been able to partner with them through the Polk County Tourism and Sports Marketing, through the Arts Cultural Committee, and the grant funding also. They have received funds to put on their different events and to bring people across the line as far as into Polk County to see Frostproof and what an awesome town it is.
That was one of the things that kind of surprised me when I went down and visited, you know, Frostproof for the story. I was the theater there and the performances that are coming, and Mayor Dickenson talks about there are now actors wanting to come from outside the area to be a part of the production. So you're beginning to see some of that demand, you know, putting Frostproof back on that map, I guess.
Right. We have murder mystery dinners there. I think it's each quarter. I've actually been one of the characters in one of the murder mysteries, so it's quite fun. It's very entertaining, and for those who have not come out and participated and been a part of that, I would invite them to come down and share in one evening with a murder mystery. It's posted on the website, the Raymond Theater website.
You know, one of the things when we think of the smaller cities, we're thinking they need these partnerships because they're small, but There was an example just recently, a few months ago, where Frostproof was leading the way for all of Polk County when they were able to attract the World Shoot back in October, that attracted over 1,500 athletes from 80 different countries, not to mention families that were staying in our hotels all over the county, eating in our restaurants, buying tourism gifts and shirts, whatever they do. And that was really Frostproof. If you didn't have the World Shoot facilities there, none of this is going to happen for Polk County. So this really was a big boon for the county, wasn't it?
Absolutely. Frank Garcia and his vision that he had for his shooting range brought it down, down to the brass tacks of it when he put on this worldwide shoot. If you could have been there on the Sunday evening before when they did the parade of the countries, and Frostproof was there and spoke, the other cities were there, we all came together, and when the countries were coming down from the Lakeland Center to Lake Mirror, and they were all wearing their country colors and had their flags. I mean, it was like the Olympics. And then from there it went on into the city of Frostproof. But I was visiting over at the shoot several days and went into a couple of your restaurants and couldn't even get seats in the restaurants. I mean, the economic impact that it had, not only just Frostproof, but also, like you said, the county and the state to pull an event off was just phenomenal.
And of course, when the weather, it's wintertime now, so when the weather warms up, a lot of water around Frostproof, so there's all sorts of recreational opportunities. I know there are all over the county, but it's kind of sometimes it's nice to go someplace a little bit different. So I know Commissioner Bell would encourage you to go down there and visit the city.
Great fishing.
Great fishing.
Great fishing and swimming. I grew up swimming in Lake Clinch.
Yes, so did I, and water skiing.
Yes.
Now, speaking of growing up, you were born and raised there, is that what I understand? So,
yes.
All right, you know this Frostproof area pretty well
Yes,
yourself.
I do.
Okay.
Yes, I'm very proud to say that I've been in Frostproof my entire life.
So you're a bulldog.
I am a bulldog, a Frostproof bulldog.
Frostproof bulldog. Earlier on, I saw that they were called the bull pups, but somewhere along the way they said
In the early years, yes.
let's change it to bulldogs. It has a little more teeth, I guess.
Right.
I like that. And the football field, same field that you're still using way back years ago. I like that. There's some things you want to see change, but something it's nice to see the old field.
Right, and I actually work in City Hall. The administrative offices are in the old Frostproof High School building where I graduated. So it's kind of deja vu to go back.
So you feel like you're still in school all the time.
Absolutely.
We're almost out of time. Commissioner, I know that we were talking about Frostproof, one of their older cities, I guess, and I think maybe the next time you come back, we're going to take a look at Fort Meade.
Yes.
And you know that city very well. But some of these smaller towns, though, they really are part of the charm that does make up Polk County.
Oh, it is. You look at the nation, they say, well, small business makes up the nation. I think small cities make up Polk County here. Having, like I said earlier, the close-knit communities make up our county and the quality of life. I wouldn't choose any other place to live but in a small community.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate you taking the time to talk with us today. And I have a picture I was going to show Tenny and sit. I think you know some of these people, don't you? We're going to put that up on our screen. These are family members, I'm assuming?
Correct. That's my father and his barbershop, which is located next to the Raymond Theater. And looks like my little brother getting his hair cut.
It looks like he's not too happy, but maybe not. I don't know. Anyway, Tenny, thank you so much for making the drive up here, which we appreciate you, and hope people will make the drive to Frostproof as well.
We hope so. We would invite them to come down and visit our friendly city.
Yeah. And Commissioner, thank you so much. I think this is a great idea of highlighting these communities in your district. I'm excited about what we're doing.
It's exciting for me, and to be able to debut Frostproof is even more exciting. They've been great community friends and community partners with us.
And we thank you for joining us. As always, the Commissioner's Report every month. We're taking a look at the issues and really lifestyle here that impacts you in Polk County. Thank you so much for being with us, and we'll catch you next time. Take care, everyone.